Stephen Miller's wife, Katie, is just as gross as he is when it comes to the way immigrants are treated and the way that they think about people of color in this country and elsewhere. And nothing makes that clearer than what Jacob Soboroff shared in his upcoming book. It's called Separated, and as you can imagine, it covers some of the zero tolerance policy that took place at the border, where children were taken away from their parents, children were placed in cages separately from their parents, and dozens of people have died, including I know for a fact 7 children, but the numbers are likely higher. There's been a lack of reporting coming from Border Patrol recently, so the exact number is difficult to follow. But nonetheless, here's what Katie Miller shared with Jacob Soboroff in one of the interviews that he had with her. She said, quote, "My family and colleagues told me that when I have kids, I'll think about the separations differently, but I don't think so. DHS sent me to the border to see the separations for myself, to try to make me more compassionate, but it didn't work." So just how bad are the conditions in these detention facilities? Again, so bad that dozens of asylum seekers have died. In June of 2019, a team of lawyers actually spoke to the Associated Press and said that they found children and teenagers held in a facility near El Paso, Texas, without adequate access to food, water, or sanitation. The Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security also released a report last year saying that according to program directors and mental health clinicians, separated children exhibited more fear, feelings of abandonment, and post-traumatic stress than did children who are not separated. Some children expressed acute grief that caused them to cry inconsolably. And this type of trauma, of course, has a long-term impact, negative impact on these children's lives. But these are the children who managed to survive the cruelty. There have been plenty of children who have not survived it. One of them was actually a 16-year-old asylum seeker by the name of Carlos Gregorio Hernandez Vasquez. We covered his death on this show, but I want to just go to a video really demonstrating how horrific his death really was because of the neglect in this detention facility.
For almost a half hour, Vasquez appears to be doubling over in pain. After falling to the floor, he then walks to the toilet where he collapses. Then a 4-hour gap in the video. Records obtained by ProPublica show an agent logged welfare checks, but the gap in the video raises questions about whether that actually happened. When the video comes back, Vasquez is in the same spot. The cellmate is then seen calling the guards, who realize he's dead. The video contradicts Customs and Border Protection's earlier statements that Vasquez was found unresponsive during a welfare check.
So Cenk, Miller's wife had some thoughts on Cuban Americans as well, which I'll get to in a second, but I wanted you to comment on the story so far.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm happy for Stephen and Katie Miller. They found each other peas in a pod. She, of course, Katie Miller, way more important than being Stephen Miller's wife, is the spokesperson for the vice president. So she owes a very powerful job in the government. It's interesting that the Department of Homeland Security sent her to the border. DHS is no one's softy, and especially under the Trump administration. But they're like, wow, this Katie Miller is so monstrous that we might want to send her to see how bad we really are. And because she's saying the story, that DHS sent her so that she could be more compassionate. And she gets there and she's like, oh no, that didn't work at all, man. I remain as uncompassionate as I have ever been. That'll show them. And so it's not surprising, I suppose, that her and Stephen Miller found each other in these conservative circles. But it's a curious thing to brag about in a situation like this. And it's the main defining trait of both Stephen and Katie and a lot of these conservatives, especially the Trump era, is complete lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy, and also they're just stupid. And I'm not just saying that to insult them. Like Katie Miller, based on what I'm about to read to you, is stupid, because if she were smart, if she were strategic, she would not say what I'm about to read to you. She also told Jacob Soboroff, quote, "I believe if you come to America, you should assimilate. Why do you need to have a little Havana?" So she's referencing Cuban Americans and their culture, which is a curious group to pick out because most of them are actually Republicans. Most of them support Donald Trump, and needlessly antagonizing them isn't gonna work out so well for you. Now, that's only if the media does its job and they talk about this and shed light on the fact that Donald Trump and people who work for him have utter disdain for everyone who isn't wealthy and who isn't white. And so that includes Cuban Americans, the same Cuban Americans who just last month in Miami Lakes held a rally in support of Donald Trump. They wanted to speak out against Black Lives Matter. And the group that you're about to hear from, the group that hosted this rally in Miami Lakes is titled Cubans for Trump. So let's just get a little taste of what this group looks like.
What's your name, ma'am? Are you here attending the protest?
Blue Lives Matter. I can't believe it. You come from Massachusetts.
I'm a reporter for the Miami Herald.
You know what? I'm in police. Miami-Dade police.
You're a Miami Lakes police officer?
Police officer?
What's your name, ma'am?
I don't wanna do you. Miami-Dade police.
Now you think that Trump supporter with that thick Cuban accent is someone who's respected or loved or valued by the Katie Millers of the world? Of course not. And it is incredible because they can really expose their utter disdain for their own voters and supporters. And usually they don't pay any consequences for it, but it's just amazing. Like, why little Havana out of any group that you could attack, she decided to attack a group that's actually supportive of Trump.
See,
because she's stupid.
Yeah, I hear you, and that's a compelling case. But for Cuban Republicans, they think they're special. Oh no, the Republicans that are in charge, like Trump and Stephen Miller and Katie Miller, they like us Latinos because we agree with them. No, they think you just look like all the other Latinos. They're happy that you're a sucker and you vote for them, but at the end of the day, she can't even tell the difference between the people that you like putting in cages and you. She would put you in a cage. She would separate you from your kids. Why did you use the example of Little Havana? Because when talking about the issue of separation at the border, that has nothing to do with Cubans other than the fact that the only thing that connects them is that they're Latinos. So in fact, let me read you the beginning of that quote because it's really instructive. Soboroff asked her, "It didn't work about the compassion. I'll never forget what I saw. Seriously, are you a white nationalist?" He asked Katie Miller. And Katie Miller responds, "No, but." First of all, I can end it right there. Are you a white nationalist? No, but what's about to follow is something that's going to sound white nationalist. And then the rest of the quote, "No, but I believe if you come to America, you should assimilate. Why do we need to have a little Havana?" Cuban, Mexican, Guatemalan, whatever, they're all brown to Katie Miller. She doesn't know. And by the way, what does assimilation have anything to do with child separation at the border? The only thing that connects those two totally disparate issues is Katie Miller's hatred of brown Latinos. And so if you're a Cuban Republican and you think they're on your side, they certainly don't think you're on their side. They just think you're a convenient sucker. When you sign up for a spend and save account at aspiration.com/TYT, we will plant 10 trees. Let's save the planet together.